Good morning, and thank you for joining us today.
On today's show, we're going to be reviewing Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Here it is, and yes, it's ridiculously thick. And so before we get into our discussion, I'd like to make a suggestion that I think would really help sell more of these books and help forward the message, and that would be to the publishers of this book, the Plume Group and Penguin, that perhaps we consider making it into a trilogy, bite-sized pieces that can be digested by people our age a little easier than this behemoth, which we've all recently worked through.
They're easier to carry around, so you don't have to, if you're traveling, you don't have to haul 10 pounds in your luggage, you can haul 2 pounds.
Exactly. Makes a lot of sense. So if you're watching this and you know someone in these publishing groups, spread the word for us.
So the question is, why read Atlas Shrugged? It's, what, 1,400 pages long? It's going to take a lot of your time. The answer, you should read it because young America has been raised in this society that bombards us with school, television, MTV, to name a few, and the internet with the liberal notion that capitalism is evil and only greedy men want it. I'm so tired, I don't even have a lot of money, I'm so tired of having to hear people talk about, oh, they make money, they're bad people, they don't care about people. I'm a nice guy, but I want to make money. And so that's why you want to read this book, because it really does tell you the importance of working hard and believing in the capitalist system that we have and not throwing it away.
That's true.
After reading Atlas Shrugged, you will know in a way that no one, or probably any experience you've ever had, can show you the virtue and greatness of a capitalistic society.
There are pirates and playboys and sex scenes in this book. It really grabs your attention. And just out of college, I read this in college. So I chose to stay in and read this as opposed to going to a couple of the watering holes. Have you? It was well worth it.
You wouldn't believe the phone call I got from Mom when she got to the first sex scene. The last thing I need is a lecture on, oh my goodness.
That
oh
could
my
have
goodness.
been good.
It was not good, let me tell you.
Yeah, we should be clear in this that Atlas Shrugged is not going to teach you a whole lot of family values, but it's absolutely essential to understand what and why we have to change within our government moving forward if we're going to be able to maintain the level of exceptionalism which we've enjoyed in this country for so long, due primarily to our democratic republic and the capitalistic society, which has helped us develop the greatest economy the world has ever seen.
That's true.
So we'd like to read a couple paragraphs from this book. They're two of the most moving sections in the book. They give me goosebumps just thinking about it. So I think we're going to let Jamie start off with one of your favorite sections of the book.
It is Francisco d'Anconia giving a speech at a friend's wedding. Don't you believe in the operation of the moral law, madam? Francisco asked gravely. I do, she replied. Reardon heard Bertram Scudder outside the group say to the girl, who made some sound of indignation, don't let him disturb you. You know, money is the root of all evil. And he's the typical product of money. Reardon did not think that Francisco could have heard it, but he saw Francisco turning to them with a gravely courteous smile. So you think that money is the root of all evil? Have you ever asked, what is the root of money? Money is a tool of exchange, which can't exist unless there are goods produced and men able to produce them. Money is the material shape of the principle that men who wish to deal with one another must deal by trade and give value for value. Money is not the tool of the moochers who claim your product by tears or of the looters who take it from you by force. Money is made possible only by the men who produce. Is this what you consider evil? But money is only a tool. It will take you wherever you wish, but it will not replace you as the driver. It will give you the means for the satisfaction of your desires, but it will not give you desires. Money is the scourge of men who attempt to reverse the law of causality. The men who seek to replace the mind by seizing the products of the mind. When a society establishes criminals by right and looters by law, men who use force to seize the wealth of disarmed victims, then money becomes its creator's avenger. Watch money. Money is the barometer of a society's virtue. When you see that trading is done not by consent, but by compulsion. When you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing. When you see that money is flowing to those who deal not in goods, but in favors. When you see that men get richer by graft and by pull than by work, and your laws don't protect you against them, but protect them against you. When you see corruption being rewarded, when you see honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed. Money is so noble a medium that it does not compete with guns, and it does not make terms with brutality. It will not permit a country to survive as half property, half loot. To the glory of mankind, there was for the first and only time in history a country of money. And I have no higher, more reverent tribute to pay to America, for this means a country of reason, justice, freedom, production, achievement. For the first time, man's mind and money were set free. And there were absolutely no fortunes by conquest, but only fortunes by work. And instead of swordsmen and slaves, there appeared the real maker of wealth, the greatest worker, the highest type of human being, the self-made man, the American industrialist. If you ask me to name the proudest distinction of Americans, I would choose, because it contains all the others, the fact that they were the people who created the phrase to make money. No other language or nation has ever used these words before. Men had always thought of wealth as a static quantity to be seized, begged, inherited, shared, looted, or obtained as a favor. Americans were the first to understand that wealth has to be created. The words to make money hold the essence of human morality.
Wow, it doesn't get much more powerful than that. And I know that it takes a lot to get your mind around that, but really, as it's set up in the context of the book and the way it came out, I remember reading that, the goosebumps, setting the book down and saying, why am I 28 years old and have not read this, have not been taught this, have not seen this anywhere in my life? I don't live under a rock, yet this is hidden. You know, for me to find some book written in the late 50s and have to dig it out of that to find something that speaks to my soul so clearly as being a truth and a driving force for what makes our entire economy work, you know, it's disgusting.
Certainly not on the book report list in any of America's public high schools.
I haven't seen it.
And the sad thing and amazing thing at the same time is Ayn Rand saw something in socialism that she knew was going to be a problem and was not going to go away. And it's absolutely unreal that this book is 50, 60 years old, and when I turn on the news every day, we see Solindra, you know, favors, corruption. These same things that she is speaking about in this book is going on every day in our lives right now.
This is true.
And it's just absolutely amazing to have this kind of insight on how to really embody the spirit and the soul of capitalism in America.
Well said. Our next excerpt is going to be a piece from the book where Hank Rearden, one of the heroes of the story, is on trial for producing a product and selling it, which is, in our world, or when you think about it, that's probably something that we think about, well, if you can make it and you can sell it, why not be able to do that? But
right. And now why is he on trial? He's on trial because his competitors, who did not put in the type of work that he did, were not innovative, were not free. They could not produce the product and could not compete. So they were slowly going out of business, and the government tried to say to Hank, you know, you need to free up your patents so that others can compete with you with your product. So they took him to court, and that's where we pick up in the book. And I'll play Hank, and my fellow associates will help me out with this conversation, I think.
I got your back.
All right, great. So this is Hank saying that in his trial, I do not recognize the court's right to try me.
But Mr. Rearden, this is the legal appointed court to try this particular category of crime.
I do not recognize my action as a crime.
But you have admitted that you have broken our laws and regulations controlling the sale of your metal.
I do not recognize your right to control the sale of my metal.
Is it necessary for me to point out that your recognition was not required?
No, I am fully aware of it and I am acting accordingly.
Do you mean that you're refusing to obey the law?
No, I am complying with the law, to the letter. Your law holds that my life, my work, and my property may be disposed of without my consent. Very well. You may now dispose of me without my participation in the matter. I will not play the part of defending myself where no defense is possible, and I will not simulate the illusion of dealing with a tribunal of justice.
Mr. Rearden, the law which you are denouncing is based on the highest principle, the principle of the public good.
Who is the public? What does it hold as its good? There was a time when men believed that the good was a concept to be defined by a code of moral values, and that no man had the right to seek his good through the violation of the rights of another. If it is now believed that my fellow men may sacrifice me in any manner they please for the sake of whatever they deem to be their own good, if they believe they may seize my property simply because they need it, well, so does any burglar. There is only this difference. The burglar does not ask me to sanction his act.
good God, now he's done it. Now he'll convince the whole country that all businessmen are enemies of the public good.
Are we to understand that you hold your interests above the interests of the public?
I hold that such a question can never arise except in a society of cannibals.
What? What do you mean?
I hold that there is no clash of interest among men who do not demand the unearned and do not practice human sacrifices.
Are we to understand that if the public deems it necessary to curtail your profits, you do not recognize its right to do so?
Why, yes, I do. The public may curtail my profits anytime it wishes by refusing to buy my product.
We are speaking of other methods.
Any other method of curtailing profits is the method of looters, and I recognize it as such.
Mr. Rearden, this is hardly the way to defend yourself.
I said that I would not defend myself.
But this is unheard of. Do you realize the gravity of the charges against you?
I do not care to consider it.
Do you realize the possible consequences of your stand?
Fully.
It is the opinion of this court that the facts presented by the prosecution seem to warrant no leniency. The penalty which this court has the power to impose on you is extremely severe.
Go ahead.
I beg your pardon?
Impose it.
This is unprecedented. It's completely irregular. The law requires you to submit a plea in your own defense. Your only alternative is to state for the record that you throw yourself upon the mercy of the court.
I do not.
But you have to.
Do you mean that what you expect from me is some sort of voluntary action?
Yeah,
I volunteer nothing.
but the law demands that the defendant's side be represented on the record.
Do you mean that you need my help to make this procedure legal?
Well, no, yes, that is to complete the form.
I will not help you.
This is ridiculous and unfair. Do you want to let it look as if a man of your prominence had been railroaded with a...
I want to let the nature of this procedure appear exactly for what it is. If you need my help to disguise it, I will not help you.
But we are giving you a chance to defend yourself, and it is you who are rejecting it.
I will not help you to pretend that I have a chance. I will not help you to preserve an appearance of righteousness where rights are not recognized. I will not help you to preserve an appearance of rationality by entering a debate in which a gun is the final argument. I will not help you to pretend that you are administering justice.
But the law compels you volunteer a defense.
That is the flaw in your theory, gentlemen. And I will not help you out of it. If you choose to deal with men by means of compulsion, do so. But you will discover that you need the voluntary cooperation of your victims in many more ways than you see at present. And if your victims should discover that it is their own volition, which you cannot force, that makes you possible, I choose to be consistent, and I will obey you in the manner that you demand. Whatever you wish me to do, I will do it at the point of a gun. If you sentence me to jail, you will have to send armed men to carry me there. I will not volunteer to move. If you find me, you will have to seize my property to collect the fine. I will not volunteer to pay it. If you believe that you have the right to force me, use your guns openly. I will not help you disguise the nature of your action.
Wow. You guys got a little worked up there. I think I got a little worked up there.
Well, it's another powerful passage that obviously it's a fictional scenario, but it's not unlike something we could see today, between the different, crony capitalism that happens all the time within the stimulus bills and the money that flows to folks like Solyndra that you mentioned earlier. You get these situations where those who are attempting to provide their goods and services legitimately without the assistance or favoritism of the federal government are not just being left alone to compete against unfair competitors, but they're being targeted in the way that specific regulations like coming down on Boeing through the NLRB, or I saw a case about Gibson Guitar, and there's some others where you've got active compulsion by a public body infringing the rights of free citizens to engage in commerce. And so this just sets up an example of how this type of attack came on Reardon Metal, and he says, guys, if this is the way it's going to be, let's let the world see what's happening here. Don't make me be a part of this charade, because that's really what it came down to.
Right,
Yeah.
and it is a lot about charades, like you mentioned, because we were just reading today that it's crony capitalism, and about who GE, they just bought a company, and Jeffrey Immel's best buddies with our commander-in-chief at the time, and they just bought a company that has something like $1.46 billion of government guaranteed loans because it was tanking. But these loans are guaranteed. Why wouldn't, our president let his buddy swoop up a deal?
Surprise, surprise.
Congratulations, we paid for it.
Yeah, you're
hope
right.
you enjoy it.
And it's not just one political party or the other. This has been going on
Oh,
for
yeah.
Everywhere.
a long time.
Absolutely.
And at some point, the American people just got to stand up and say, no,
Yeah.
No more.
Yeah.
No, nobody needs to get my public taxpayer money to support some
Company that can't stand on its own 2 feet.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And I think another example that we see kind of right now with the protests on Wall Street, you got a lot of people who are getting irritated at those who have money, and it appears to be in fashion to accuse those who build wealth or make money of not caring for those who do not build wealth.
Yeah. I mean, what do you suppose would happen, though, if those who knew how to build wealth, run successful companies, which employ millions and millions of people, what if they just decided to take their money and go sit on a beach, call it quits, retire? What would happen if they just all got fed up with the rules and regulations and said, okay, I have enough to take care of me, I'm done, and just walked away?
Maybe you should read Atlas Shrugged to find out the answer to that question.
I think that could be a good idea.
All right, guys, that's the end of our segment today. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to talking to you again soon.